this video, we're going to show you the keys to hitting consistently great tee shots. Okay, we're talking about the equipment needed to get consistent off the tee. So we're going to start off with the driver. We want to play a driver that is fairly new within the last 3 or 4 years. Does not have to be super new. As you start paying the premium dollar for the newest, latest, and greatest stuff, you're paying for a lot of marketing and a lot of marketing on top of that. So you don't have to spend $400 on a driver. Get something that's a couple years old. This club is about 3 years old. This is nothing to do with the brand, but this is my own personal driver that I use. It was $400 3 years ago. You can buy it now for $85, I think, that it hasn't even been hit before. Okay, so just a club that's within the last 3 or 4 years. When it comes to loft on the driver, plenty of loft. Look for 10.5 degrees of loft or more. Shaft flex. When it comes to shaft flex, err on the side of more flexible. A more flexible shaft will be easier to get the ball in the air. It'll be easier to swing because it's lighter. It's going to hit the ball in the air, so you're going to get better ball flight easier. Just remember, when it comes to success off the tee, a ball flying through the air is going to fly better and farther than a ball that is rolling on the ground. A ball going up in the air higher is going to be straighter than a ball that goes super low. Okay, so loft is going to be your friend. Now, when it comes to alternatives, we want to have alternatives to the driver. Okay, when you get in a situation where things are getting a little bit tight, there's water around, there's trees around, there's out of bounds around, we want a go-to club that we know we can get in the fairway. So this is a 3-wood. This club has 15 degrees of loft. And what I prefer to do is I like to get a driver and a fairway wood that are the same brand, similar model, and about the same shaft. Okay, so again, you're probably going to be looking at, regular flex club, 15 or 16 degree fairway wood. By the way, if you are a female golfer and you're a little taller, a great option is to go with a senior flex, a men's senior flex. It'll be a men's length, but it'll be like a ladies flex. Okay, so that's a good thing to know as well. One other thing on this 3-wood, I see a lot of people that carry a 3-wood and they hit it on tight holes, but they never practice with it. So make sure you're practicing with these alternate clubs. The other thing we want to do is we want to have a hybrid club. Okay, this replaces my 3-iron. Look at how thick the sole of that club is. I'm gonna grab a long iron just to show you. So take a look at this. I don't even have a 3-iron in my bag, but take a look at my 4-iron. So if I was going to tee off with that thing and I mishit that just a little bit, I'm going to lose a ton of distance. But if I mishit this 3 hybrid, I'm still going to get plenty of distance. Okay? So when it comes to having the right equipment to get off the tee, when it comes to the driver, make sure it's got plenty of loft. If anything, a little more than you think you need. And play a shaft that's a bit more flexible than you think you need. Have a fairway wood as like an alternate driver, something you can hit maybe when the driver isn't going so well or it's a little bit tighter hole. And then also I highly recommend having a hybrid club to help you not only off the tee but from the fairway, because this will be a lot easier to hit than those long irons. Little bit up the right hand side of the fairway, pretty high, hits the ground and stops. So that was my 3 hybrid, and I'm practicing hitting shots with my 3 hybrid because when I get to the golf course and I'm in a tight area, I want to make sure that I can hit this club. Okay, so I'm sure you've watched the pros on TV and you see them sometimes hitting irons and hybrids off the tee on a hole that looks like it's a pretty long hole, like a 460-yard hole. Why are they hitting a hybrid off the tee? Well, one reason is obviously they hit it really, really long, right? But what they're always doing in all these cases is they're thinking about the strategy of where they want to hit their next shot from. So if we're talking about let's just say a par 5 hole. So now we're not talking in the 400-yard range. We're talking like 500 plus yards. And I want to think about, I want you to think about yourself. Do you tend to have trouble hitting long shots or shorter shots? most people have trouble hitting the longer ones, excuse me. So on a par 5 hole, this is something that I figured out a long time ago. On a par 5 hole, people have trouble because they have more opportunities to screw up a long shot. Okay? They're hitting driver off the tee, then they're hitting a long 3-wood or a long iron into the green. So there's 2 shots where they have opportunities to make a mistake. And then if they do have a problem with one of the first 2 shots, they have more long shots they're hitting. So a lot of times in a par 5 hole, let's say that hole is, say, 500 yards. And let's say, you hit your driver 240 yards. Well, one is, if you get up there and you clobber your driver 240 down the middle, you still have 260 left. So you're risking with that driver hitting a ball maybe out of bounds or in a hazard, and then even if you hit it perfect, you're still not going to reach the green with the next shot. So in a lot of cases, these longer holes are holes where you're really better off starting off with a hybrid. So if you practice a little bit and you go with your hybrid, and let's say you hit this 180 yards. So you hit a 180 off the tee, hit a 180 again from the fairway, now it's 360. Well, now you have 140 left. And 140 out, even if you're not hitting the green, you have a good chance to be near the green, right? And if you're near the green, what's the worst score you're going to make? Hopefully it's a bogey. You could also obviously make a birdie in this situation. So I really would say, hey, think about, number one, like, what is the shortest club you can tee off with and still be in pretty good shape? And that may change your mind quite a bit on what clubs you're going to use. All right. Secondly, think about on par 4s, where you want to play that next shot from. And I'll tell you a quick story. I remember I used to play golf with this guy who's a professional golfer. We worked at the same course. And there was this one hole where it was up and dogleg left a little bit. And I used to always hit driver up and try to hit it around the corner. And I'd get it up around the corner and get it down there. I'd have 100 yards in if I hit a good shot. And he would always hit, at this time he hit an iron, he'd hit a 2-iron off the tee. And his name was John, and I'm like, John, how come on that number 12 you're always hitting a 2-iron off the tee? And he says, well, that hole, it goes up and it doglegs to the left, correct? And I said, well, yeah. He goes, well, if I hit my driver and I don't draw it, I could be in the rough and have like a flyer lie in that I don't like, or I could even be blocked out by a tree a little bit. But when I hit 2-iron, I know even if I don't hit it, and for him he hits his 2-iron fairly solid. So in our situation, we'd say a hybrid, right? So he'd say if I hit the equivalent of this hybrid off the tee, I'm going to be, even if I miss it, I'll have a good angle in, and I won't ever be blocked by anything. Okay? So we want to think about every hole that we play, what is the route to get to the green, thinking about the green back to the tee box. So think about that a little bit. If you're having first tee jitters, you're not the only person. But let's talk about some things we can do to get over those. Okay? I would say this is going to sound kind of simple, but the obvious thing to not have them is to not have them. Not think about what could go wrong, but spend your time occupying your mind with what can go right. All right? So when it comes to that first tee or any tee box, we want to try to get in the mindset that we're already in the round of golf, that the first hole is a hole we're playing. So we're going to do that by trying to have a consistent pre-shot routine, the same routine we use for all of our shots. We're going to obviously use it on the first tee. All right. The next thing I would say that tends to help me out a little bit is when I am setting up, I want to focus on a target, and I think you've probably heard this before. We want to focus on the smallest possible target and really, really concentrate on trying to hit that target. Okay, so if I've got I'm hitting out here down the fairway and I've got a tree on the right hand side, I want to think about and focus on that ball getting to that tree, and I'm really trying to focus on the target as much as possible, and that helps me get out of that mindset of thinking about my swing or maybe worrying about a bad shot that I might hit. I'm going to show you a drill you can do as well. So one of the problems people have with that first tee shot is the topped shot, right? You know, this one. I don't know how much of that you saw on the camera, but that was a top. Okay, the reason that happened was the club head passed my hands down through impact. So one thing we can do to help us with that throughout the course of a round of golf is to do a really good job of swinging the club and not hitting the ball with our hands. So I'm going to show you a great drill for that. So before you get on the golf course, take a couple of mid-irons, put them together. This will also help you loosen up a little bit. And just get this sense of turning back a little bit. See, my hands are in front of my chest. Turn, turn. When we have two clubs together, it's a lot easier to swing the clubs by turning your hips and shoulders. It's harder to use your hands a lot, and you really feel really odd two clubs together because they're so heavy just using your hands. All right? So when it comes to getting consistent off the tee, make sure you've got the right equipment. So we want to have a driver with plenty of loft. We want to have a fairway wood. We want to have a hybrid club. And we always want to make sure that our shafts, if anything, are a little bit more flexible than too stiff. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we can use good strategy playing the hole backwards. So think about, okay, if I'm playing a short hole or a narrow fairway, getting the ball in the fairway is a premium, and so I can use a shorter club or play to a safer location off the tee. And then when it comes to getting rid of those first tee jitters, have a pre-shot routine. Do some drills where you're swinging the club rather than hitting with your hands, and always stay positive, looking for the smallest possible target. I hope this helps. We'll see you next time.